Welcome to the latest edition of This Racing Life. On this week's show, it's all about the retraining of racehorses and how they adapt to different disciplines within the equine world. The showing series is a popular discipline within the RORs. Top horses like Barbershop, Purple Moon, Munkety Tunkety and Don Cossack have excelled, showing manners and agility in this sphere.
I'm Lucinda Sims, known to most people as Cindy, and I'm in the very privileged position of having a very special horse called Zarkanda, known to us all as Gino.
And up to the line, it is Zarkanda who is going to win the Triumph Hurdle.
Zarkanda and Combechois, who's got back to within 3 parts of a length. This time, he's going to win pretty ugly, but it's still unbeaten. Zarkanda for Ruby Walsh and Paul Nicholls.
Zarkanda is now ahead in front and racing to line. Zarkanda gives Ruby Walsh his 4th win in the entry hurdle.
I've also got 5 other horses that have retired. We've always had thoroughbred horses, and my first really good event horse was a little thoroughbred mare that came from Ascot Sales, 500 guineas, and she took me to Badminton, Burghley, and she took me onto the long list. In fact, I was first reserve for the World Championship team back in the 80s, and she was 15-1. Wonderful little mare. So we've been retraining, in inverted commas, thoroughbred horses off the track for a long time, and they are my favourite breed. I absolutely worship them, and we're very privileged to be, well, actually it is an honour. Paul Nicholls asked if I would have Zarkanda, and you know, we're human, we're all slightly conceited, and I was so chuffed to be asked. I said, of course. So he came to me immediately after his last race at Haydock, February last year, and I had been just diagnosed with cancer, well, at Christmas, and had just started treatment and was well underway with my weekly chemotherapy. All the horses, but particularly Gino, because he was new, they were recent to get out of bed in the morning. A really special little horse. So he spent a year doing very little. When I was feeling well enough, we used to go out hacking around the lanes and bridleways, and he's a joy, absolute joy. He doesn't find schooling quite so joyous, but he's great fun, and it's not done him any harm, taking it very slowly, Each horse is different. Some can go much faster than others, but I'm glad we've taken time with him. He's got a massive personality. He's a real little showman. We've just started showing him. He did 2 shows last year and loved it. And although he looked very well, he still looked, you know, as though he'd come out of training. And that was in hand. And we've just started this season. He's done a little dressage test and didn't disgrace himself or us. Much admiring of himself in the mirrors, but otherwise it was great. And he went to Bath and West show and was 3rd in his first proper in-hand class. Absolutely thrilled, behaved beautifully, lots of people admired him, which he just knows that he's beautiful and special. I get into trouble from my mother, very well known, famous lady, for over-spoiling him and letting him get away with absolute murder. But he's the yard character. Everyone adores him, and my 6-foot daughter makes him look like a little show pony.
He can be a monkey, but he's so charming. He does everything with such a big smile on his face. You can't ever be cross with him, and I think the problem is that no one's ever been cross with him, so he's got very strong opinions.
Well, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, you can't beat a thoroughbred. They are wonderful. They're generally very forward thinking, they're not backward thinking, they're not cold. If you're quiet with them, they're just like any other horse. The ROR, for what it's worth, is, to me, they are doing a brilliant job promoting them and getting them, getting these lovely horses out there, and people realising that they're not nutty lunatics, which actually they aren't. Give me a thoroughbred any day over really actually any other breed. Where I was sick last year, he's given me back an enthusiasm to actually have more and more and more of them, because I just love retraining them. They all have their own quirks and their difficulties. He's not an easy horse to feed. Yes, he's a little bit of an internal worrier, but that's part of getting inside their heads, working them out. I mean, that's as much the joy of retraining them as riding them, is having them looking wonderful, having them relaxed, and giving them a new and a different life. So far, he's repaying it in spades. He really is. Well, I just did some very, very basic work. Turning, schooling. It's so simple, but I love to use poles as a way of focusing them, and a bit like them going to the gym. Those were very simple poles, slightly raised, so that he has to use his back, use his core, use his stomach muscles as well as his back muscles, and it's variation. I think all horses can do poles, should do poles, doesn't matter what they're being retrained for, and we use it a lot just as basic gymnastic exercises, a bit like us going to aerobics or yoga, Pilates, that sort of thing. And they do enjoy it, and it is a very good strengthening exercise for them, as well as doing something different rather than going round and round in endless circles.
I mean, it's such an honour to be able to ride a horse of his standing that's done such amazing things. And he just has a way about him, and the first time I cantered him, it was like getting into a Ferrari or something. I've never felt like that power, that raw power before. So no, it's a great privilege to have him.
I am very, very, very lucky. I've never forced horses down her throat because we are from a very horsey family, and she loves it. And I've obviously imbued her with a passion for thoroughbred horses, because she ride no other. She just loves them, and it is very, very special going to shows together, going to competitions, supporting each other. It's fun, and I've had a second chance at life, and I'm going to grasp it with both hands and enjoy it. Win or lose, just enjoy it. And we've got beautiful horses to enjoy, and just very privileged. I'm a lucky girl.
Polo is one of the oldest known team sports. Speed, agility and a compact physique are essential, and that's why racehorses do so well. With 4 players on each team, polo is fast-paced and a great spectacle all around the world.
I'm Will. I buy and sell young thoroughbreds off the track, and so I go and find thoroughbreds, spend a lot of time going to sales and speaking to trainers and finding them, spending a few years and creating them, turning them into polo ponies and selling them into polo. I like to try and get them as sort of late 2-year-olds, turning 3. For example, through the summer, this time of year I'd be trying to get 3-year-olds, and through the winter I'd be trying to get 2-year-olds. And then the sort of type obviously is very important for the polo because they have to stop and do a lot of turning. So we don't want them, size-wise to start off with, we don't want them too tall. As 2- and 3-year-olds, we want them sort of 14.2, 14.3, 15 hands, not really anymore because potentially they will grow a little bit more depending on the horse. Type-wise, we like them quite short. I mean, I always try and look for a horse that's not too long in the back, that's got a big bum, that's got good clean legs, good feet, obviously very important. A nice kind eye is always something we try and look for. And yeah, that sort of thing, really nice. The head and neck need to be set on quite nicely so they don't have a very high head carriage, which obviously if you have a horse with quite a high head carriage, it's not going to be able to get round and turn as well, engaging the back end sort of thing. She is she's about as small as they come. She's 6. She's not bum high. She's not getting any bigger. She is 6. So this is as she is, unfortunately. So when we first get them as 2 and 3 year olds, we give them a bit of time to rest and to relax and come down from the racing. Obviously it's quite different for them, different environment altogether for them, so we let them down a bit and then we bring them in and give them sort of 2 or 3 weeks just nice hacking around the woods. We go on the downs and we hack around the farm and hacking around the polo ground, and lots of going forward, lots of fun things to look at, and then eventually we start to teach them to neck rein and swing the stick around a little bit. We do that and then give them a bit of time off. I mean, it is quite a long process. It's obviously a big change from the racing to the polo. There's very different things that we need to ask them and teach them. It sort of takes, to have a horse pretty much finished, it sort of takes 3 years from a 3-year-old. I try and have them finished at sort of the age of 6 and about ready to go and play some good polo. So as 4-year-olds we do some young horse chuckers and stick and balling, and with lots of people that are riding young horses as well, so it's nice and slow and flowing and the horses enjoy it. It's obviously all about the horses enjoying it. Then as 5-year-olds we step it up a little bit more to do a bit more pressure in the chuckers, and then hopefully a few games at the end of the 5-year-old summer. And then as 6-year-olds we bring them in and get them very fit and start to play them properly as polo ponies. And then I have the end result and hopefully ready to move on. They're fantastic animals, the thoroughbreds. I've always been very passionate about them, as my mum and my family have been as well. You know, they're lovely type of horse, and you know they are very adaptable. They're very good to train. A lot of them, you know, they have good brains and they've been dealt with in professional racing yards from a young age. They know how to have their feet done, and they know how to stand nicely, and they know how to tie up, and they're quite polite and nice to deal with, and you know they want to learn. And also for the relating it to the polo game, you know, the polo is a fast game. It asks lots of questions, and if you get the right sort of thoroughbred that, you know, it's got a bit of fight about it and a bit of spirit, and it wants to go and fight and, you know, push against other horses, and I find that after a while, you know, they start to really enjoy the polo. And for me, I've loved doing it up to now, and I've always found that the horses that have gone on and done well really do love it. This year I did the Royal Windsor Retraining Of Racehorses competition, and I won that, which was great fun. I was on a horse that is now 6 that I got as a 2-year-old. I also got 3rd and 5th on similar sort of thoroughbreds that I had from the very start. The year before they had the Retraining Of Racehorse competition at Cowdrey Park Polo Club, and on the semi-finals of the Gold Cup day, which I again won on a mare that is going very well, and I have high hopes for her, that sort of thing really. I feel like it's a big achievement for me when I can, you know, I've had a horse that I've managed to bring all the way through their training from the very start, whether it be picking them out at the sales where there's thousands of thoroughbreds, to getting it to the end result where, you know, it's playing polo at the top level in England with some of the best players. An example with that would be just yesterday, last night, I had a 6-year-old mare that I had as a 2-year-old that I got from Epsom, and a lovely mare that me and my girlfriend have spent a lot of time making, and she was played in a practice last night and the day before last with Adolfo Cambiasso, who's a very good player, and fantastic obviously for me. It brought a tear to my eye to see such a great player playing, you know, a mare that I've found and produced, which is, you know, is what it's all about for me. And it's also, you know, I've got the mare as far as I can get it, and I understand that, you know, I want to get it to the top polo, so getting it to play with those players is fantastic for me. Yeah. So I got a horse called Rick that I got as a 3-year-old, and he's now 12, and he was one of the first thoroughbreds that I got off the track. I was doing some work for a polo club before going to New Zealand one October, and I spent 4 weeks riding 4 of their horses each day, and in return I got to have one at the end of the 4 weeks, and I had him, so he didn't cost me anything, cost me some work, and I got to make him as a polo pony, and he got to play in 2012 the first time in the high goal with Ed Hitchman in the Queen's Cup, and he's played the high goal for quite a few years since, which is, you know, very exciting. and still having him, you know, I'm very attached to him, and getting to play him myself a little bit now is fantastic. Yeah, something I'm very happy with.
The ROR Dressage Series is for everyone, professional and amateur alike, affiliated and unaffiliated prelim to advanced. And dressage is a skilled sport where horses display a range of movements with manners, balance and accuracy.
Hi, I'm Julie Frizzell and I own Namibian with the stable name of Barney.
Namibian is grabbed by Solar Sky inside the final furlong. They go head and head. Namibian on the far side, Solar Sky on the near side. Neither flinching an inch. Namibian from Solar Sky. Namibian is going to get there. Namibian wins the Queen's Vase.
Fiorenzi and Namibian, these two locking horns. Namibian in the centre, Fiorenzi on the far side. Fiorenzi with a nostril in front. Namibian, however, has got up to win.
I'm very lucky. I coach a number of grassroots riders, and I met a client down on the south coast who had a beautiful grey horse, and long story cut short, when she explained to me about Godolphin rehoming, I came home, did a little bit of research, applied on the Friday night on the website and had a phone call the next morning. I must have been an embarrassment to the racing world. I pitched up at the Godolphin at the yard and I was introduced to this is Namibian. And then I was very nice. What's his stable name? She went, no, it's Namibian. You've not heard of him? I'm sorry, no. And then she handed me his racing history. I was so embarrassed. He's won the Queen's Vase at Royal Ascot. He's won the Gordon Stakes at Goodwood. He's one of the VIPs that's invited to the ROR dinner night. I've been this horse's +1 on a number of occasions. So it was a massive leveller for me to think that, you know, not that all race horses are the same, but the almost like the fan club following that he's got since I've put a few things on social media about his successes, and he's been covered in the BD British Dressage magazine as well. But there are a number of people that have come forward that have followed him, that worked with him, that were stable lads and lasses that are lovely to see. In fact, my brother-in-law was over the moon because apparently he's bet on him and won a lot of money. So yeah, it was a great leveller to find out what his background was. I'm a para rider because of my right arm, so it was a trachea, rotational fall, and thankfully it wasn't my neck or spine, it was just my arm that got completely crushed. My wrist was rebuilt, and the rebuild never really worked, and a bit of surgery later, cutting a long story short, I'm now left without an ulnar, and my right hand is in a permanent partial dislocation, and I ride with a cast on just to keep it in place. Can't really feel much in my right hand. I've got some muscular control over my index finger and the middle finger. I drop a lot of things. I'm told I'm clumsy rather than it just being my arm though. Before I had the last operation on my arm, I'd done a fair degree of able-bodied riding and had been trained up to into 1, which is 2 levels down from Grand Prix. It sounds really grand, but I wasn't very good at it. I then had the final operation on my arm, and that removed the ulnar, and I was classified as a para rider entirely by accident, because all I was after was trying to get my loopy reins, because I've only really got control over one finger. So stepping into the para world with my older horse, I was able to win, well, he delivered 4 titles for us across a restricted level. So in most classes where I'm up against the Paralympian athletes, I do okay, but in the restricted section, which is people of my background, my ability, I've been very lucky to do okay in a few classes. 3 years ago, he was working at prelim level, so that's a test with a walk, trot and canter in it. We've concentrated on muscular strengthening, so he's effectively been in the gym for 3 years. He's now working just about one level down from advanced. So he thinks he can do his flying changes, but unfortunately they're not exactly where we'd like them to be. But all of the sideways stuff he does now. He's working at a fairly intensive level for any dressage horse, let alone someone who's come and it's his second career. In terms of competitions, he's had a great year so far. We've only just this weekend come back from him being called up to represent England, so he's done the Para Home International, and he won his first national title in February, so he's a grade 5 national champion. For not misbehaving too much in a test. I think when they've excelled in any one field to the level that they've had, then for him to step into a different sport is almost like a dream come true. Even at the weekend, he needed to pull out a personal best, and it was a team event. And you know, I know we can impose human feelings on the horses, but it's almost as if they have a sense of occasion and they feel it. And no matter what we face him with, what environment we put him in, it's almost as if he breathes and looks, and it's almost like, well, this is not Royal Ascot, is it? So, but he'll cope with anything. Crowds. In fact, when we've been invited to do demos before, and it's almost as if the more people that are looking, or the more people are cheering or clapping him, the better he goes. I think he's a proper little diva, so he might have found a true second calling.
Horseball is a contact sport. Now, 6 people make up a team and the aim of the game is to score goals. Its high intensity and speed make it exciting to watch, and both horse and rider need to be agile, reactive and brave.
Hi, my name's Ben Berry and my horse is Marbate.
Marbate is threading away through horses into 4th place, and then Jira uphill for home. Uppercut Assateer on the far side. Marbate is now out and coming home strongly. Pink Jacket near side. Assateer, Marbate, uppercut go for the line together. A flurry of hits. Racing inside the last, Validus with the lead. Between them, Marbate though picking up strongly. Mr. Music to the outside. Marbate wearing down Validus, and Marbate gets up under Shelley Burkett. Marbate.
So together we both play horseball. Nationally and internationally. Horseball is a cross between basketball and rugby on horseback. The main aim of the game is to get 3 passes between 3 consecutive players and then score a goal. It's a full contact sport, but ideally the horses absolutely love it. So the horse has got boots and bandages on. This is more probably for game situations, but it just, because of the close contact between the horses, it just gives them full protection of the lower legs. And then we'll also be adding over each boots on. Today we'll only put 2 on the front, but normally they'd have one in each foot. And this is basically just for protection during the game while you're tackling. When you're playing horseball, you will usually have to always have a martingale. And then basically, although this is a running martingale loop, you will always tie it up as a standard martingale. This basically just stops the horse's head from hitting the other players in the face when they're trying to tackle you, and also assists sometimes keeping the horse's head out the way of the ball as well. And then it's just a very standard bridle. He wears a flash, but you don't have to wear flashes in horseball. And yeah, just a standard bridle really. So this saddle is just a general purpose saddle. We have standard stirrups really. The only extra that that you wouldn't normally see on a horse when you're riding is the horseball strap. Okay, so yeah, so we ride with standard stirrups. Safety stirrups don't really work too well due to having to hook your foot when you're picking the ball up. We'll be attaching the stirrup. 2 seconds. All right, good lad. Don't be shy. Good boy. So this is your horseball strap. We've gone through the martingale and then onto your stirrup. It fastens like this, and this stops the stirrup from flipping over when we try to pick up the ball. And that is probably the only difference to a standard set attack. When we got Bates, he was 10. I think he had a very successful racing career, went over to Dubai and places like that. And then since he's got here, he is a real character. Generally, really easy to be around. He's such a nice, loving horse, and we absolutely love having him here, and I can't see him going anywhere anytime soon. Bates is so good at horseball due to the way he's built. He's really short, stocky, very fast, really easy to manoeuvre around the pitch, and is one of the fastest horses on the pitch when he's playing. So a lot of the work was getting him used to the ball, a lot of schooling work, used to the contact and not just going fast, but he took to that very easily. So it really didn't take long to get him onto the pitch and playing at full standards. Yeah, ROR are brilliant for the afterlife of a racehorse when they leave racing. They've supported horseball for many years, and The parades we go to help them as well are really, really good fun, and they've always been there for anything you need. They've always supplied anything you ask for, really. They are brilliant. We've had a few racehorses now, and they've been very, very easy to retrain into any discipline, really. For horseball, 90% of the top level players are playing on ex-racehorses at the minute, whether that's from France or England, really. But they just make such great horses, and they've always excelled in anything they've done, really, from what I've seen. So usually in a week the horses will get schooled 2 or 3 times a week, and then maybe 2 or 3 times we'll introduce the ball, maybe do a bit of shooting, picking up. If we can get together with our other players, we'll probably do a bit of passing and training and stuff like that. Riding is very, very essential, being able to manoeuvre your horse around the pitch, and also most of the time you're concentrating on where the ball is, so a lot of the work's done with your legs, and hopefully you can just go as fast as you want. While riding Bates, in the second year in 2017 we both won Best Horse and Rider. That year we also captained the GB team. The following year my wife rode him in 2018, and they also won Best Horse and Rider for the ladies category. Bates has represented Great Britain 2 or 3 times, I think, and he's also been to the Champions League 3 times as well. So I've been playing horseball since I was 11, never ever looked back, really. The sport's so good because you're always there with your friends, you're always still having fun even when you're not on the pitch. It's really good with the horses, they enjoy it so much because they're sort of let to go free and run fast, and it's just such a great place to be over a weekend. So the season runs from March till October, September sort of times. We usually play once a month with a break in August for the internationals. During out of season, horses would be given a short period of time off, and then usually just work through the winter, ready for the beginning of the season again. The season's going well. We've got quite tough competition at the minute with one of the other teams, but so far so good, and hopefully the rest of the season goes to plan.
Well, how amazing that was to see some of our old equine heroes excelling in other careers, and thank you to everyone who helped with their time and effort to put this show together. That's it for this week. Bye for now.